When you think of competitive Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, you know the drill, right? Standard rules, top-tier characters, all about pure skill. But what happens when someone just decides to light that rulebook on fire?
What if the whole point wasn't about balance, but about creating something totally different? Well, we're going to dive into a tournament rule set that is so wild, so specific, it pretty much creates a whole new game.
The very first clue that something is way off here comes from the most basic choice you can make: who you get to play as. And this roster is, well, it's a choice, all right?
I mean, look at this. You can see the theme right away. It is a who's who of Nintendo's biggest and baddest. Bowser, Ganondorf, Sephiroth. It feels less like a fair fight and more like a villain convention where all the heroes decided to take the day off.
And this is where it goes from a fun theme to just next-level specific. You can play as Wario, sure, but only in his classic overalls. That modern biker gear he wears? Nope, absolutely forbidden. The level of detail here is just wild.
Oh, but it gets even deeper. Some characters aren't even on the main selection screen. You can only get them as specific alternate costumes. You want to play as Dark Meta Knight? You gotta pick regular Meta Knight and scroll all the way to his 7th color swap. It's the same for characters like Alf and even the female versions of Pokemon Trainer and Robin. It's not just picking a character, it's like a scavenger hunt.
So, if you thought the character list was kinda strange, well, this next rule takes us way outside the official game into a completely different universe.
Yep, you heard that right. For certain characters, using a fan-made modification isn't just an option, it's mandatory. You literally don't have a choice. This completely changes the game and ties it into some very specific corners of pop culture.
Check this out. If you pick Pac-Man, you're not playing the arcade legend we all know. No, you have to use a mod that makes him look like the version from the Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures TV show. They even require a separate voice mod to make him sound like he does on the show.
The commitment here is just incredible. You feel like playing as Minecraft Steve? Well, too bad. You have to install the Movie Steve mod, which is specifically designed to look like the version of the character voiced by Jack Black in the upcoming movie. You're not just playing a character, you're playing an actor's portrayal of that character.
And hey, remember our overalls only friend Wario? It gets better. You also have to use the Wario Land moveset mod. This completely changes how he plays, giving him his classic shoulder bash and earthquake punch. You're not really playing Wario in Smash anymore. You're basically playing a Wario Land game that just happens to run on the Smash engine.
Okay, so we've got this hand-picked roster and mandatory mods. But the way you actually play the match might just be the most bizarre rule of them all.
Get ready for this. This is not a player versus player tournament. Every single match is you, by yourself, fighting against a computer opponent. The entire core concept of competitive fighting games, outsmarting another human being, is just gone. The whole challenge here is man versus machine.
And you're not fighting that machine in the usual way either. The main mode is Stamina Battle. So instead of launching opponents off the screen, you both have a health bar, just like a traditional fighting game. Your only goal is to chip away at the computer's HP until it hits 0. It's another huge break from how competitive Smash is normally played.
So we know who's allowed in and we know how you're supposed to play, but let's be honest, the most interesting rule in any tournament is the ban list. And this one is audacious.
So, with a tournament that's all about villains, obscure characters, and deep cuts, who gets left out in the cold? You can probably guess the theme, but seeing it written out is really something else. Just look at this. It's a bloodbath of icons. Mario, Link, Kirby, Samus, Pikachu, the faces of Nintendo, the absolute pillars of this franchise, are all banned. Gone. If a character is a famous flagship hero, there is a very good chance they are not welcome at this tournament. And this is my absolute favorite rule in the whole thing. You cannot play as Roy, the hero from Fire Emblem. But the rules specifically say you must instead use Roy, the Koopaling, who's an alternate skin for Bowser Jr. It is the ultimate power move, and honestly, it's just hilarious.
Alright, so a villain-heavy roster, mandatory mods, single-player matches against a computer, and a ban list that targets all the good guys. What is actually going on here? Let's try to connect the dots and see the big picture.
When you put all the pieces together, the goal becomes crystal clear. This was never about finding the quote-unquote best player. Not in the traditional sense. The person who made this has crafted a very, very specific experience. It's like a piece of interactive fan fiction, where every rule serves the theme.
At the end of the day, this is a celebration of the other guys. The bad guys, the obscure alternate costumes, the characters from some niche cartoon or an unreleased movie. It's a tournament for the B side, and by banning all the A-listers, they made absolutely sure that theme stays front and center.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What a game is even for. Is it only about competition, or can it also be a canvas for creativity? This rule set proves it can absolutely be the latter. So that leaves just one question for you. If you were in charge, what's the boldest, wildest, most creative rule you would make?